At the beginning of the film, we see the Vice President of the United States mourning the death of his son. He is told that his son died after taking illegal drugs. Unable to accept his son's death, the Vice President immediately calls in the head of the DA, a man named Abraham. This is him. The Vice President asks Abraham to take out all the dealers, especially the cartel group that caused his son's death. Abraham agrees to the request. In fact, Abraham promises to wipe them out without mercy. After that, Abraham takes his men to a Mexican prison because Abraham has someone nicknamed the devil who he believes can handle all of this.
Let me know if you need anything. Okay.
The scene then shifts to a Mexican prison, and this is where we're introduced to one of the inmates named Jake. It turns out Jake is no ordinary person because he is a former American Special Forces soldier who was once highly respected. The reason Jake ended up in a Mexican prison is that Jake massacred a Mexican cartel group that killed his younger brother. Jake is then taken to the prison yard to be gathered with the other inmates. But not long after, an inmate who dislikes Americans immediately starts messing with Jake, causing a fight to break out.
I know you're the fucking Diablo Blanco.
You're dead, man.
Luckily, the guards quickly stop Jake. Otherwise, the inmate would probably have been killed. Next, we are taken to a factory that is being used to manufacture illegal drugs. At the same time, a masked man appears and immediately massacres everyone there. It turns out the masked man is named Nando, who is the right-hand man of the cartel boss who controls the eastern region. Nando carried out the massacre because they were business rivals of Nando's group. Not long after, Nando is contacted by his boss, who turns out to be a woman named Tracy. Here, Tracy asks if Nando and one of his men have successfully completed the task Tracy gave them. Nando replies that everything is taken care of and that they no longer have any rivals in the eastern region. Tracy then tells Nando to meet her in America tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, Abraham, the head of the DEA, goes to see Jake at the Mexican prison. Here, Abraham begs Jake to take out the Eastern Cartel because Abraham's men would not be able to do it. Abraham promises that if Jake agrees to do it, he will get Jake out of prison. But Jake rejects Abraham's offer, saying that he no longer wants to take part in any more killing. Hearing the rejection, Abraham is obviously disappointed. Abraham then says that in that case, Jake will not be getting out of prison. In fact, Jake will soon be deported to a notoriously brutal American prison.
Lost his son 2 nights ago.
And how do I factor into your battle plans?
Moved him up to Oregon with her parents.
The next day, Nando meets with Tracy, the cartel boss. Here, Nando tells Tracy that he has just received information about Jake being deported to an American prison. Hearing this, Tracy tells Nando to prepare all their men so they can take out Jake during the transfer. It turns out the cartel group that Jake previously massacred belonged to Tracy and was led by her own son. During the incident, Tracy's son was killed. That is why Tracy is so furious with Jake.
Hey, yo nunca me equivoco, Tracy.
Don't fuck this up.
The scene then shifts to a group of Mexican police officers who are having a barbecue party. Then we are introduced to a Mexican police captain named Andro. While the party is going on, Andro suddenly receives a message from his superior asking Andro's entire team to gather at the office. Andro immediately asks all his men to head to the office right away. Once they arrive, their superior says that he is giving Andro's team a mission, which is to deport an inmate named Jake from a Mexican prison to an American prison. Then one of Andro's men says that Jake is a former Marine nicknamed the White Devil, the cartel killer. Their superior tells everyone to stay alert because Jake has a lot of enemies, especially the cartel groups that are always after him.
Andro, necesito un segundo contigo.
Claro, manejas.
A short while later, Andro goes to see Jake in the cell area and takes him outside. Once outside, Jake says that Andro's forces might not be enough to score him all the way to America. Along the way, everything seems to be going fine. Andro even asks why Jake likes killing cartel members. Jake explains that the cartel once killed a police officer who was Jake's younger brother. That is why Jake went to the cartel's main headquarters in Mexico and massacred them. Unfortunately, during his rampage, many public facilities were severely damaged, which led to Jake being sent to prison. While they are busy talking, the group is suddenly attacked by Tracy's cartel men. In the middle of the battle, Jake manages to break free from his handcuffs and helps Andro's team fight back. However, several of Andro's men are killed in the battle. The only ones left are Jake, Andro, and one of his female partners. The three of them then decide to escape into the forest because they're starting to get overwhelmed. At the same time, Nando, Tracy's right-hand man, appears and orders all his men to keep chasing Jake. Back to Jake, Andro, and his police partner, who are now in the middle of the forest. Andro and his partner suddenly point their guns at Jake because they believe Jake is the one responsible for their men getting killed. But Jake tries to calm Andro down. If they fight now, things will only get worse. It would be better for them to work together against Nando and his men. Only then do Andro and his partner realize this, and they continue making their way toward the edge of the forest. 3 hours later, Nando's men arrive at a village at the edge of the forest. Without hesitation, they cut off the internet and put out a bounty to the locals. The bounty is for anyone who can capture Jake and the 2 Mexican police officers in exchange for money. At the same time, Jake, Andro, and his partner have also arrived in the village while keeping an eye on the locals who have now joined Nando. Realizing that they're surrounded, Jake asks Andro to turn him over, but Andro immediately gets angry because he has sworn never to surrender to the cartel. In the end, they decide to find a place to rest first in an unoccupied house. Before leaving, Andro asks why the cartel is so determined to capture Jake. Jake then explains that they are the Eastern Cartel Group, led by a woman named Tracy. Jake previously killed Tracy's son, which is why Tracy hates Jake so much.
The way out is to find their boss and end this.
And how the hell did you know you were being transferred?
The scene then shifts to Abraham, the head of the DEA, who is now having a meeting with the Mexican police commander. They are discussing the attack on Andro's convoy, which was transporting Jake. Abraham assumes that a Mexican police officer must have leaked information about Jake's transfer. They then discuss how to track down Jake and the others. So far, they have not been able to contact or track them.
I mean, you're either in control of your troops or you're not. Which is it?
How do you change the route if I didn't authorize it?
I mean, you're either in control of your troops or you're not. Which is it?
Meanwhile, Tracy decides to get involved and personally witness the hunt for Jake. Here, Tracy tells Nando that they must capture Jake alive. Tracy wants Jake to die slowly, in the most painful way possible. As for the 2 police officers currently with Jake, Tracy orders them to be killed immediately. Meanwhile, Jake, Andro, and his partner are still searching through the village for an empty house. Not long after, Andro's partner, whose name is Angelica, asks for permission to get some water. Unfortunately, Angelica's location is spotted by one of the enemies.
¡Rápido!
Ya, tranquilo.
During the incident, Angelica gets shot in the leg, and Jake manages to take out the person who shot her. After that, Andro immediately helps Angelica. Then they continue on their way to look for an empty house. Not long after, the 3 of them manage to find an unoccupied house. Even though there's no electricity inside, and they have to rely on candles, at least they have a place to spend the night. As it starts getting dark, Andro asks why Jake killed Tracy's son, and who Jake really is. Jake explains that he used to be a Marine who was often deployed to countries experiencing conflict. While he was on duty, Jake received news that his younger brother had been killed by Tracy's son. That is why Jake immediately left the military and took revenge. Hearing the story, Andro starts to respect Jake, especially since Andro also hates the cartel.
The only way to make my country better was to...
You could have handed me over.
Would you have turned someone over to their certain death?
I thought being a cop would be safe.
The next day, an old woman tells Nando about Jake's whereabouts. According to the old woman, they are hiding in an empty house near hers. Nando's men immediately move in to surround the house. Jake, Andro, and Angelica see this and quickly get ready. Not long after, Nando gets out of the car while pointing a gun at one of Andro's fellow police officers, who turns out to still be alive. Nando threatens to kill the officer if Jake does not surrender immediately. In the end, Jake decides to come out rather than let the officer become a victim.
Que si me entregan al gringo, no los voy a matar. Que se chinguen estos pendejos.
¿Sientes, Samuelito?
You want me?
Here, Nando tells Jake to throw away his weapon and come with them. But after Jake throws away his weapon, Nando still kills the officer. Andro and Angelica obviously refuse to accept this and immediately attack. In the middle of the battle, one of Nando's men tries to shoot Jake. But Nando immediately stops him because Tracy, their boss, wants Jake captured alive. Jake eventually manages to escape to the back of the house. Meanwhile, Andro and Angelica are still fighting Nando's men. Andro and Angelica manage to take out some of Nando's men. After that, they hurry to escape. While escaping, Andro and Angelica meet up with Jake again. They then join forces to face the remaining enemies. Jake, Andro, and Angelica continue taking out Nando's men. Meanwhile, Nando starts to panic because now only he and two of his men are left. At one point, Nando comes face to face with Jake, but they're separated by a wall. Jake tells Nando that he should just leave before he ends up dead. Jake will spare Nando if he leaves right now. In the end, Nando calls his two remaining men and tells them to leave with him. After Nando and the others leave, Jake, Andro, and Angelica continue through the village looking for a way out. But at the same time, they suddenly hear an explosion. It turns out Nando's car has been rigged with a bomb by Andro. Not long after, the three of them arrive at a beach. Then, several fishermen are seen approaching them. One of the fishermen gets off the boat and gives Jake a black bag. When he opens it, the bag turns out to contain a satellite phone already connected to Abraham, the head of the DEA. Here, Abraham says that the ambush actually happened because he deliberately leaked Jake's convoy route to Nando. Abraham did this so Jake could take them out without having to be asked directly by him. Abraham then tells Jake, Andro, and Angelica to get on the boat if they want to survive. They will be taken to Abraham's residence across the sea. Since they have no other choice, Jake, Andro, and Angelica follow Abraham's orders. Upon reaching the other side of the sea, Jake and Andro are supposed to meet Abraham, while Angelica is told to stay on the boat. But when they get closer, it turns out the place is not Abraham's residence, but Tracy's headquarters, the cartel boss. Even so, Jake and Andro decide to go inside and take out Tracy. As they enter, Jake and Andro immediately take out the guards there. But when they reach the upper floor, Jake and Andro are shocked to see that Tracy's actual men are already dead. They then head to the living room, where Abraham is already there with the Mexican police commander and his men, who are holding Tracy hostage. It turns out the guards outside were not Tracy's men, but Abraham's men. When Tracy sees Jake, she keeps cursing at him because he was the one who killed her son. Abraham tells Tracy to calm down, because indirectly, she has also killed many people through her illegal drug business. But Tracy keeps talking, which annoys Abraham. Then this is what Abraham does. After that, Abraham explains that he deliberately did all of this to make Jake willing to massacre the cartel. Abraham had previously asked Jake directly for help, but Jake refused him at the time. Abraham then says that Tracy's group was responsible for the vice president's son's death. Now, the vice president has asked him to massacre several more cartel groups with a $10 million reward. Abraham will give Jake $5 million along with his freedom if Jake agrees to help him. After hearing the offer, Jake finally agrees to take the mission. Jake also makes sure to ask Andro to join him.
Take his advice.
I promise you.
1 week later, Jake and Andro arrive at a drug dealer's headquarters. Once they get there, Jake immediately takes them all out without mercy.
I like Gustavo.
After that, Jake and Andro meet Abraham by the beach. Here, Jake explains that his mission is complete after he massacred all the cartel members according to Abraham's instructions. Abraham thanks Jake and, as promised, Jake will receive the money and his legal freedom. At the end of the film, Jake is seen splitting the entire reward money evenly with Andro. Then Andro suddenly asks Jake to form a new team. There is a Mexican official who will pay them to massacre cartels in western Mexico. Since Jake happens to be out of work, he immediately agrees to the offer. Meanwhile, Nando, Tracy's right-hand man, turns out to still be alive. Now Nando is determined to take control of Mexico with his new cartel force. The end.